Hello, it's the Mark Vortex, and I thought I'd just do like a off-the-cuff philosophy, think aloud video. Just felt like talking about the nature of art, really, and image making. So we'll see what emerges from this ramble, as usual. So I was just contemplating. Well, I use the word contemplating. I just had a thought come into my head about how the art of image making and the art of the sort of feedback loop of us as artists responding to cultural events, historical events. I don't think it ever really. There's no end to it. It's eternal, I think, in some ways. I think that. I mean, you could say that if you wanted to look at it from a Jungian perspective, that it's the collective unconscious that we tap into, isn't it? I think it probably is something like that. Something I need to read into more. So I've got a copy of the Red Book up there. I should probably dive into it again. It's been a few years since I looked into that, but yeah, I think you could almost view artists basically. I think they are the receivers for a world which is deep and under the surface of the world that is untangible and surface, it's sort of depth. There is something to that. I think that artists have to develop a vision which is unique to themselves, but also, I mean, ideally you want other people to connect to it on some level too, the emotional resonance, or you don't want to. I don't think it's a good philosophy basically to work in isolation and never show anybody what you're doing. You need to get feedback from a sort of audience, even if it's just a few people but also maybe artists as well. I think it's the only real way you develop. I think a lot of the time artists get stunted somewhat by any criticism, but I think the best thing to do actually is to develop a sort of armour against criticism. Like, even if someone just comes up to us and says, I've rehashed this point a few times, but even if someone was just like completely dismissive, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, really, you just have to learn to leave your ego out of it. As long as you believe in what you're doing, and also know that not everything you produce is going to be a masterpiece. I mean, I'd argue probably that even if with artists who do produce masterpieces, what you don't see is the hundreds, potentially more, of painting sketches that came before that moment of clarity in their sort of artistic vision. And often, some artists only produce, and painters only produce one such work. Like one thing that is really so pertinent to the moment and history and culture at that time, and that's fine. Like, I mean, this endeavour of being a painter and an artist it has to be, I think, a work of passion, because realistically you never make that much money from it to support yourself. Some people are lucky and can do that, but most painters, I mean, I know a lot of painters, and most of them struggle constantly just to get by. And that's sort of the price you pay, just for pursuing your own path and being independent in the world often as well, even. Unfortunately, that's just the price to pay for being yourself. I'm getting really great, aren't I? I don't know if it's just because of the light, but I don't care really. I'm quite happy with it. I've got a horrible spot on my nose as well. Sorry about that. You have to witness such a thing. But yeah, anyway, back on track. So I think, image making is one of the things I think you always have to do, is always experiment in terms of like generating new imagery. I sort of feel like finding new imagery, you can find it, it's in nature. So the way I see it philosophically is, well, everything is emergent property of nature, right? So I'm a part of nature, I'm connected to nature, so I'm just looking at the clouds now, actually. Everybody is. I mean, even cars. This is the bit that other people often get mixed up with, though. So cars, just mechanical inventions, technology, that's also part of nature, because we're a part of nature, and then we've created these engineering things. They are also a part of nature, because they spring from nature. We are, we as human beings are the cutting edge of evolution, even though it doesn't seem that way sometimes, of the universe maybe becoming aware of itself, which I think is a compelling idea, actually. It sort of touches on my pantheistic notions of what the world is. Yeah, we're the cutting edge of nature, and so I think artists, in a lot of ways, we are probing the deeper recesses of nature. I mean, human nature, imagery, landscape, cityscape, or how we affect the urban environment. There's so much. This is the beautiful thing about art, actually, is that you could spend 20 lifetimes and still not cover all the subject matter that you can go over. You can cover everything from the urban environment to sexuality to gender to politics, propaganda, the line in between the two, to surrealism, psychology, technology, machines, futurism, vision of the future, vision of hell, vision of heaven, Buddhism, sex I mentioned, nudity, the idea of perception and betrayal as well, tragedy, beauty, ecstasy. I mean, how many, the full spectrum of the human experience is all there for artists to grasp onto, and as well, of course, the inhuman, like the alien, I think one of my favourite artists, who's probably not that well known really, is Roberto Mattei, who did that in this fascinating way, this combination of alien, the mechanical, and the humanoid in some form, but like abstracted to such a degree. His paintings actually are fantastic. They still look so fresh even today. I mean, you can look at Roberto Mattei and you'll transport it to a completely alien universe with the walls of physics and everything beyond almost comprehension. I mean, how one human mind could conceive of such a thing. He's been a big inspiration and influence on my work, actually. Huge one. I'm the abstract expressionist, really, of the mid-50s. But anyway, I guess that's sort of a nice little exploration of some of my ideas around image making and the subject matter in art. Leave any comments you have any. I'm sort of trying to improve my production on these videos now, so it should be a bit better. I've got like a camera holder thing and everything, so generally the quality should be a bit better. I think it's been alright for a while, actually, but anyway. If you have any ideas, any thoughts on the nature of image making in art and art in general, just leave them below. If you have any, if you want any tips. Not that I'm an expert by any stretch of imagination, but I've been at this for a while now. And also get in touch. Okay.